The most difficult practice of contemplative prayer is trying to keep fully aware of the moment we are presently in, to see it as it really is and not as what we want it to be. If we can surrender ourselves wholeheartedly to accepting whatever circumstance of life we find ourselves in, and try not to escape it, rationalize it, or pretend we can make it into something better or different than it is, we will have a better chance at experiencing the divine presence that permeates time, space, and all circumstances of life. It is largely a matter of letting go of our resistance to those negative elements that this particular moment offers. Not trying to leap over them in our rush to move quickly to the next moment in hopes that it will offer something even better. We may try to block out this particular moment of trial or suffering by holding on to a past moment, trying to relive that and whatever benefits it offered us. If it is truly God we seek in our prayer and not an escape from reality, then our prayer must be an acceptance of the full reality of what is right here and right now. Sadly, Christianity seems to be more about how we can save our own soul rather than being saved by God. Faith has become a kind of spiritual capitalism, privately owned for private profit. Such a viewpoint severely limits our spiritual understanding and faith's power to transform culture and history. We tend to think that more for me is naturally better. This is the dominant cultural ideal of the Western industrialized world. And it's very difficult to move away from this viewpoint of ourselves as the self-made, self-sufficient, autonomous individual who can stand by himself or herself, not needing or owning anyone else for anything. This is the idea that most of us live and work for. It is our goal in life, and we will sacrifice just about anything to achieve it. Religion and spirituality have become mere add-ons, a way of earning points with God by attaining enlightenment or producing good moral behavior. But authentic spirituality is not about getting, attaining, achieving, performing, or succeeding, all of which pander to our ego. It is about learning to let go of what we don't need. To be truly conscious of God, we have to let go of our compulsive identification and preoccupation with ourselves. This may be the most difficult letting go of all, for the idea of our individual autonomous and self-sufficient self is the primary illusion of our lives. We can become trapped inside ourselves, looking only at me and my wants. The only way to free ourselves is to look outside of me and see what God is offering. We must learn how to see with eyes much bigger than our own. Most of us never achieve the full awareness of God in our prayer because we are too devoted to our own passing thoughts, our own feelings and compulsive patterns of perception. We have no proper distance from ourselves. If we did, we would see just how connected we really are to everything around us, and that this radical connectedness is holiness itself. Some degree of detachment is absolutely necessary in the practice of contemplative prayer. When we meditate consistently, the sense of our autonomy and private self-importance, what we think of as our self, begins to fall away little by little. It becomes unnecessary, unimportant, and even unhelpful. We come to see that what we think is our true self is really a creation of our mind. The more we distance ourselves from this created self, the less we are interested in protecting it. We do not actively attack it. That would create too much negative energy, we simply do not waste our energy feeding it. And as it falls away, we experience a kind of natural humility. As our prayer goes deeper and deeper, our worldview will change from one of fear and isolation to one of understanding and connection. We will no longer live inside our small and fragile ego. In the prayerful contemplation of our present reality, we move from ego consciousness to soul awareness. We are less and less driven by fear and more drawn by love. Of course, we can only do this if God is holding us, taking away our fear and our false desires. If we allow the divine presence into us, we will find our lives imbued with a new vitality, a natural gracefulness that we did not create. We will feel the life of the Trinity flowing through us like life-giving blood through our veins. Sooner or later, we must let go. It is the only path to change, to give up our egocentric preoccupations and go on a further and larger journey of grace and mystery. The great Dominican mystic Meister Eckhart once said, "God is not found in the soul by adding anything, but by a process of subtraction." True spiritual wisdom reveals that less is more. Jesus taught this. And if we are persistent in our prayer, we have the hope of discovering